The Flanders camping weekend was complete. Now we move on to the car show, and I run into my old pal Dave once again. This time, I remember to save the recorded interview. Hello, V-Dubbers, and welcome back to Wilson the VW Bus Podcast, Season 3 and Episode Number 7, Flanders Part 2. I'm your host, Joe, and we're picking up our story from the Central Jersey Volkswagen Society's annual all-air-cooled gathering in Flanders, New Jersey. Wilson and I have just spent the past 2 glorious days and evenings camping in the fields with other Volkswagen buses, bugs, Type 3s, Gias, and now it's time to see the show on Sunday in the big field. It again was a chilly night, and I ended up sleeping in all my clothes, including my jacket, inside of my sleeping bag. I closed the windows this time, at least I remembered that. I had already packed up most of my campsite the night before, so all I needed to do this Sunday morning was to make some breakfast, clean myself up, and then head over to the show field. Man, at this point, I was really regretting forgetting my toothbrush at home, but cleaned up the best I could nonetheless, and I had already scouted out the road to the show field the day before, just because I heard that there were a few speed bumps to get over. Now, why these speed bumps were there, I have no idea. We were deep in the woods and not on a public road, and as you're probably well aware of at this point, Wilson is very, very low. So, of course, in true Wilson fashion, we dragged the steering box skid plate over a couple of those speed bumps on the way into the show, and in case anyone was sleeping, they were probably awake now. I had the front safari windows fully open so I could see through the morning dew that was all over the bus and basically rendered every other window useless. I found a row in the field with a few other buses and a really nice Porsche 911 that I parked in that row. And the sun was just about to rise over these cars in this row and burn off that morning dew when I parked. I soon realized that the blue bus I was parked right next to was the same guy I met from the Dubs and the Shrubs event earlier this year, the one from the Many Saints of Newark movie. He and his son were already having a great time throwing around a football, and they came right up to me and we continued our conversations from months ago like it was yesterday. Their bus looked great, and in the two-tone too. On the other side of me was another blue 65 VW bus with some nice modern touches to the interior. I overheard that owner stating that the Porsche 911 that was up a few more cars in the same row was painted by the same painter with the same color blue. They were both gorgeous. I later found that owner of the 911, and he told me that the car was originally a pale yellow and that he repainted it blue, but most of the interior was still original. I meandered around the show field for a bit and took some more videos with my drone for YouTube. I walked through the swap meet tables that surrounded the perimeter until I was found by my old pal Dave, the previous owner of Wilson, and his son Dave. They hadn't seen Wilson in person since Dave dropped off the bus at my home on that day 2.5 years ago, and when he sold it to me. They were able to get the brakes fixed on their Bug just the previous night, and they both took the Bug and Dave's surf shop bus to the show. We sat down inside of Wilson, and I finally got that interview with him. Yeah, I am here at Flanders with Dave and his son Dave, and oh my God, the Filthy Buggers crew and all the guys from the Central Jersey crew. And how many bugs and buses here were once in your stable?
How many? I would say three buses here today.
Right. Mine?
Yours and the Tip Top Fried Pie bus and the David Brown Racing Engine bus. Right. They were all regrets of mine to sell.
And then you still have your bus here.
I still have my bus, the surf shop bus.
Right. And your son Dave's, his Bug that just got on the road yesterday.
Yeah, we had a 74 Standard that we made it here. We just made it here. But we're here and having fun.
Nice.
Checking it out.
Yeah.
So,
tell me that story you were telling me this morning about the pie bus.
The double door.
Yeah, tell me what it was.
That came, what they call, it's on the Samba, it's a thread. It was the Eastland 8. We were 8 buses that were pulled out of a auto salvage in West Texas. I think it was Northwest Texas. The town was called Eastland, but I knew of the bus, and there was 2 of them of the Tip Top Fried Pie. One went to India, and one made its way from Texas over to Alabama, which is where I purchased it from, and brought it up here. Got it running, and didn't hold on to it long enough, and sold it too soon. And it's a funny story. I sold it to a couple, and 2 years later, we kept in contact. They were down ashore, and they contacted me and said they were ready to sell, and I wasn't ready to buy, unfortunately, but I found somebody who I know and who I'm basically related to, and he bought it, and so it's something that's still here, still around.
Still in the family.
Still in the family, basically, yeah. And your bus is right here in New Jersey, the one that I sold you, and the other one is right here, local to Flanders, and I see it quite often. And so, yeah, three buses that were regrettably sold, but are being used, and it's awesome.
And you can't keep them all, right? I mean,
no, you can't keep them all. Even though I do have a car stacked everywhere, but those are the ones I sold.
All right.
But that's about it.
Now the Brown Racing one. Tell me that story real quick.
That was out of Shawnee, Delaware. The Shawnee ski area bought a house that was filled with this guy, David Brown's collection of parts. He was there forever. Actually, I knew of him. Actually, I bought stuff from him on the Samba, and throughout the past couple of years. But he had made a contract with Shawnee to sell the property. He could live there for a couple of years rent-free, and the 2 years went by way too quick, and he couldn't liquidate everything, so he ended up leaving, and we got involved with the clean-out. And that's where that bus came from. It was buried in a basement, used as a filing cabinet, a desk, and you could barely tell there was a bus in there. But I got it from there and put it up on wheels and stuff. Somebody else brought it back to life, but it's here today.
Right.
So. And
you let it. It's got a nice big gear on the side, a logo.
I had my painting guy Pooch. From Pennsylvania. He's from Swiftwater, Pennsylvania, and he does all my lettering work, and we came up with a logo, and he came over one day and did a cool-ass giant logo on it, the biggest one he's ever done for me, and that's the way it sits now.
It's got a great look, and it's got the original guy's name on it, right?
Yep, yeah. And he's still around. David Brown is still around, and he showed up here a couple of years ago. I think 2019 he was here. But yeah, it's just like a local thing. It's just one of those cool stories.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I look at all these bugs and buses that have touched your life, and then you've touched other people's lives, and it's like you're like a foundation cornerstone for people like me who wouldn't have a bus if it wasn't for you getting this bus and willing to get me into the hobby. And
and you did an incredible job on this bus, and this is all I wanted to see. I wanted to see it in good hands and brought back to life, and not totally restored, just blended nicely, and you did a great job.
Oh, thanks, I appreciate it. I mean, you did the hard work. You got the powertrain in it, and
I don't know. This stuff is hard. The body work is hard too, even though I do it for a living. But maybe that's why I never get there with that stuff. But the mechanical stuff, we got it up and running, and just needed somebody to take it the rest of the way, and that was you.
Nice, cool. And so, what do you got coming? Plans? Any new plans for anything for you? Maybe for next year if you're here?
Maybe my '64 single cab that's been in waiting and very close to being done, but I just never been motivated to do it. But I think next summer we'll probably do a June, July, August type push to get it up and running. It's very close. It just needs to get a little wind in my sail, get it going, and so I think that one might be next.
Nice, awesome. Well, I hope to see that here next year.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, you're close enough. You don't have to camp, but Yeah.
Well, I might camp one of these times. I mean, you're rock and roll. You came here you asked if I was going to Flanders, and you shoot me a text, like, I'm here, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I thought it was cool as hell that you're here, because I've never camped here, and but you came up here and you did it, man. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. This is a blast. So.
Yeah, so maybe the pickup and the bus here, camping, I don't know. We'll see what happens next year.
Bring them all, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Thanks, Dave.
No problem.
Now, Dave also drives his red bay window surf shop bus every day, and I was lucky enough to talk to him about that story as well. Hey, man, tell me about your bay window, your red one.
My bay window is a 1970 that I got from a guy out in Lancaster, or Mannheim, out by Lancaster. And I'd almost bought a couple of other projects from him. I knew of them. And then this one kept showing up on Craigslist. And it was a very bleak picture. It was very vague. You can see the engine compartment open up. But it was never like a picture of the whole vehicle. And so finally I got my trailer and everything, and we drove out there to look at it. And we pull up to this barn that he had rented. And it had a couple bus carcasses in there. And in the back corner behind the carcass with no wheels, no axles, nothing, was this red bus. And we made a deal. And turned out somebody took it apart to paint it, a couple. And they put all the glass, all the trim in it. So it was basically a shell, but it had a motor in it. And we had to literally take the bus and bounce it. Like four guys bounced the bus to get it out of the corner where it was blocked in by these other bus carcasses. And we got it to roll, and we rolled it out the door of this looks like 1700s Amish barn. It was a beautiful farm. And we got it outside and got it on the trailer and made the deal. And then the guys drove away. They left. They were like done with us. We were still strapping the bus down, and we were like, me and my brother-in-law Brian were just tying the bus down, hanging out at this farm, And but that's where that bus came from. And I came home. I basically started roping the windows in the next morning, put all the trim on there, and played with the motor a little bit. And they had one of the wires crossed on the coil. And the thing started right up, and I just started driving it, and it's evolved from that state to having the logos painted on it and cleaning it up and stancing it and putting a big motor in it, and that's the way you see it today.
Oh, it's got a decent motor in it.
Yeah, it's an old school dune buggy hill climb racer from PA. I bought this motor from. So it was basically built for wide open throttle. It's a 2180 cc, and we had taken it apart, my motor guy, and basically figured out with the compression ratio and everything, rebuilt the heads, new rings, new jugs, and we put it back together, and that's been in there for a couple of years now. So it pulls like a bear. It's a great running bus. I pretty much drive it every day I can when there's good weather, and I'm in it. And there's people here today, like Amy over there, Art Neary's wife. She passes me every morning going to her job, and she goes, she actually just told me, she goes, I'm in a different Jeep, gray Jeep now, so you got to look out for me because I wave to you all the time. So, nice. But I drive it every day.
Cool. I told Dave that although he has some regret for selling some of his old VW buses, he should be proud to see how much he's influenced the lives of other VW enthusiasts like myself. I wouldn't be here doing this podcast if it were not for Dave. Thanks, pal. This weekend was an amazing experience for me, and it was the community of all these VW people that I didn't know anyone aside from a few of them. I mean, some of my friends from Raritan Bay, car shows, they came in. I knew Dave and his son, and Casey I just met, through Facebook, through the groups, social groups. But, when you meet these people in person, there's a camaraderie, there's a family, there's just a bond, and everyone was so nice. That community, the VW community, is something I don't think I've ever experienced with any other car group or any other club. Racing, I raced in SCCA and NHRA, and there's a friendship among people that share the same thing. But It's not like that with the VW community. It's completely different, and it's much tighter. It really is like a family. So I want to thank all those who have joined and allowed me to join their family. It's really made an impact on me, and enough that I want to do this podcast and keep participating. So thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate all of you, and I'll talk to you next time.